everybody, welcome to this month's Wellbeing webinar, and this month we're going to cover sleep hygiene, all things sleep routine, so let's get right into it. My name is Alex Griffin, and I am a Kinetiq Health Program Manager here at Kinetiq Health within Apex. So I am having the privilege of covering this with you all today, and I hope that you all walk away with a couple of things at the end. First of all, the importance of sleep. We'll learn why it's important and how much we actually need, the difference between ages and how much you need as a child versus an adult. We'll kind of go into the positive and negative influences on sleep as well. What helps us sleep? What really creates those barriers when we're trying to fall asleep and stay asleep? So we'll dig into that. Sleep and stress. Why sleep helps reduce stress and why a lack of sleep can cause, increased stress in our daily lives. Why a bedtime routine is important. So we'll kind of go through what makes a bedtime routine a routine, kind of how to build that, and then also tips on how to increase the comfortability of our bedroom. So where we're sleeping will directly affect the quality and amount of sleep that we're getting. All right, so first of all, let's dig into why sleep is important. Getting proper sleep supports healthy brain function and overall recovery for our bodies. So if you think about your day from 9 to 5, that's your work day, right? But it starts and ends well before and well after. So sleep is really the only time of day that is dedicated to unwinding and giving our body and mind a recovery break. I always say too, especially if you're somebody who is working out either before or after work, our body needs that time to really recover and rebuild muscles. So especially if you're strength training, if you're a runner, if you're doing yoga, Pilates, stuff like that, really sleep is something that is going to help build that muscle and help us recover. Adequate sleep reduces the risk of chronic diseases like heart disease and diabetes. So regular sleep patterns are associated with better health outcomes at the end of the day, truly. Sleep supports our immune system. This one is something that I think a lot of people forget about. While we sleep, our body actually will take stock of itself and what substances we need to produce to help fight infection and defend against illness. So I'm somebody who is on the go quite a bit, and I can tell when I haven't gotten enough sleep because it almost always correlates with when I'm getting a cold or the flu or something like that. So your body really just needs that time to recover, and especially if you're somebody who is traveling a lot, excuse me, it's something that's super important to support that immune system. Sleep plays a really large role in our growth and development all throughout our life, but specifically in children and teens. So sleep is really ultimately growth for kids. So super important, and I know a lot of people have children, so hopefully you'll take away some tips and tricks and why they need that sleep. So switching gears here to how much sleep we should actually be getting. According to the National Institute of Health, the average person gets less than 7 hours of sleep a night, which is crazy. 7 hours, and really we should be getting about 8 to 9 as an adult. So each person does need a different amount of sleep though, so keep that in mind. Every body is different, and what we need will vary between person to person. I do know some people who function just fine with 5 hours of sleep. I think they're crazy. I am somebody who falls in the category to 8 to 9. I would prefer 9. It really just depends person to person though. If you're somebody who can function well on 6, that's okay, that's your sweet spot. So each stage of your life though does really require different amounts. So keep that in mind. Obviously, children are really, teens and adolescents really are going to need that 8 to 10, and then children are needing more of that 9 to 17, really just depending on their age. But like I said, every body really is different. You will find what hourly amount you need per night. A good way to look at this is finding that sweet spot. Okay, I think I function best on 8. Great. You'll count backwards from when you need to wake up, and then that's your bedtime. So that's a really good way to look at, when should I be going to sleep? How much should I be getting? I also read something recently that says only 33% of people are really getting the amount of sleep that they need. So it's something that I feel like everybody can do better with. So when it comes to sleep, there are multiple influences, both positive and negative, on our sleep. First, we're going to dive into some positive influences. So number one, I feel like this is something that is really hot in the media right now, is screen time and trying to limit screen time before bed. I know it's hard because a lot of our lives are on our phone, and it's hard to, turn that work day off. It's hard to stop scrolling when, that is your time to sit and just kind of, zone out the day and scroll through your phone. I know it's difficult, but um, you can still do that. Maybe do that a little before you're ready to actually go to bed. And instead of screen time while you're laying in bed, try reading, even coloring, drawing. Journaling is a big one. I know that a lot of people like. Anything without a screen is something that is really going to help you wind down better than that light in your face. It will mess with, trying to wind down. Your mind thinks, oh, it's still daytime out, and it's really hard for the brain to kind of wind down. So number one is screen time. Number two, getting some movement in throughout the day actually will help kind of wear you out and be ready for bed. I know a lot of us don't need help with that by the time it's time for bed. A lot of us are struggling. So if that's something that you don't feel would help, don't feel the need to add it in. But movement throughout the day really does help burn those calories, expend energy. But exercise does release those endorphins, which are positive things. You don't want too many of those before bed. So do keep in mind that if you are somebody who works out after work, or is a night owl at the gym, maybe try doing it in the morning or on a lunch break. I would say about 2 hours before is when you should try to limit that, just to let your body kind of wind down from the day. A well kept and organized space for sleeping. So this is something that really just supports a clear and calm mind when you're trying to wind down. If you are at home and your bedroom has that one chair, that catch-all chair, that section that you just throw your things there, and it's like, I'll get to it Wednesday after work, I'll get to it this weekend, and then it just kind of builds up. That clutter can really create a problem. You're looking around, you want to see more of a zen, a calm space, so just keep that in mind as well. A bedtime routine really should be based around how many hours of sleep we need. So establish how many hours that we need and go to bed accordingly. So a positive influence there would be just kind of setting, like we said earlier, that time, and then, okay, I know that I need to start winding down at 7 if I want to be in bed by 10, and that's kind of giving yourself a little bit of wiggle room. So really just kind of creating that mental piece of what you want to look for in your night routine and going with it. On the other hand, some negative influences on our sleep. Caffeine too late in the day. That is something when I speak with coaching clients sometimes, and it's like I really struggle getting that sleep piece, and it's like, okay, well, when is the last time you're having caffeine throughout the day? Well, 3 or 4 o'clock. Yeah, that might be the problem. A lot of people don't realize. We think that we may become, kind of immune to that effects of caffeine, but really it can affect how we're winding down. It may not influence some people in the same way it does others, and that's okay, but if it does create that inability to fall asleep, avoid it. In that afternoon slump that you might hit, try for a green tea or a natural source of caffeine rather than a coffee or an energy drink. At bed, try a non-caffeinated sleepy time tea. I know sometimes just the warmth and having something like that before bed does help some people. So just keep in mind that if you are a 1, 2, 3 p.m. caffeine drinker, that those effects can last up to 5 hours post consumption. So just keep that in mind. Another thing that sometimes people think will do more good is alcohol. 20% of Americans rely on alcohol to help them fall asleep, but it typically does create more harm than good, unfortunately. I know you've probably heard, I didn't sleep last night, tried having a glass of wine before I went to bed, and to wind down. And really, that is something that people think is helpful, and it's really just not. It can lead to more fragmented sleep, especially during your REM cycle. And our REM cycle is most important for recovery. So, I know a lot of times I've hear people say that they've had a couple beverages and they go to sleep, they fall asleep fine, but then they wake up at that 2, 3, 4 a.m. just not able to get back to sleep. That's because your body is breaking down that alcohol, and that's usually the time when it's done broken down and you're waking up and you're wide awake and can't go back to sleep. So that's one of those things that people think help and really doesn't. So keep that in mind if you like to have a nightly drink. If you treat yourself, once a week to that glass of wine, that's totally fine, but try to keep it less than, or more than 2 hours before your bedtime. Same goes with eating. So, on the same path here, our body needs to digest that food. So, eating too close to bedtime gives your body, more time before winding down to digest food. So, really, I would say 2 hours is a general rule of thumb for both alcohol and eating. Try to avoid, if you're somebody who likes that sweet treat after dinner, try having it right after dinner rather than an hour and a half or 2 hours. It's 9 o'clock, you're on the couch watching your favorite show and you're craving that sweet treat. Really, really try to avoid that at 9:30, 10 o'clock and try to reach for it, around 7 or 8 instead. The last thing that I think a lot of people forget about is watching or reading things that increase heart rate or stress levels. So there's a lot out there on social media. It's, like I said earlier, that might be your one time of the day to kind of sit and unwind and relax and read those articles you've been saving. But really try to avoid anything, shows, articles that get your heart rate up, get you worked up, that could induce stress. So, leading into sleep and stress, a lack of sleep really can cause your body to act like it's reacting to distress. So, you may find if you don't get a lot of sleep one night, you come into work the next day and you feel a little bit more easily irritated or worked up or stressed out, and that's because you haven't gotten the amount of sleep that you need. We really, really need that to kind of reset ourselves, and it can cause your body to act like there's a lot more wrong than it is. The littlest things can kind of set you off if you're struggling to get that sleep. Your sleep and mental health are so closely related. I think people forget about this a lot. Our brain is probably the most important thing that needs to recover overnight. And if we're not giving it time to kind of rest and not be stressed out, it's hard on your body. It's really hard the next day you wake up, you probably don't feel refreshed. Bottom line, our brain needs time to recover and rest just like our muscles do if, we're big people that work out during the day. Your muscles need to reset and rest. Your brain needs the same thing. Not getting enough sleep can make stress feel harder to manage. So, like I said earlier, obviously there might be things that set you off, and it's like, okay, this isn't that big of a deal. I don't know why I'm acting like this. Well, in the same way that our sleep can make it harder to manage. So that stress, whereas usually throughout the day you can maybe compartmentalize or not think about it and leave it be and get back to it and react to things a little bit more calmly, we won't be able to if our brain's not able to recover. Like I said though already, it can lead to lashing out, acting in ways that you normally would not act. So keep in mind, we really need those 8 to 9 to 10 hours a night to just kind of decompress and restart. A lack of sleep especially does not help those who struggle with anxiety. So, if you're somebody who has an anxiety disorder, sleep problems may make those symptoms worse, unfortunately. Poor sleep does affect everybody with or without a diagnosis, but truly, if you're somebody who has anxiety, that sleep really, and a lot of times they do go hand in hand. If you're somebody that has some anxiety, you may struggle from getting good quality sleep or enough sleep. So keep that in mind. It can really lead to stress, mood changes, trouble handling daily tasks. So, bottom line, we need sleep to reduce our stress, and it really just helps us throughout the day as well. So, the importance of a bedtime routine. A bedtime routine is something that I am very passionate about. I start my routine around 7:30 or 8 o'clock each night, and just kind of I've adapted that the last couple of years, to be honest, and I really think it plays a big part in the quality of sleep that I get. So, creating a before bed routine really does set you up for a restful slumber. It will lead to waking up more energized and ready to tackle the day. So, by making this routine, you are creating a habit each night, and in time, your body will adjust to this habit. So, I always like to tell people this isn't going to happen overnight. It is really something that you're going to have to probably consciously make an effort to do, especially the first, I would say, 1 to 10 to 14 days. Trying new things. What works? What doesn't work? What are you like? Yeah, I actually think that helped with the quality of my sleep and being able to wind down, and then also taking into consideration what maybe didn't work. I know a lot of times I'll try to recommend a sleepy time tea to somebody, and it's like, okay, well then I have to get up and use the restroom in the middle of the night. That's something that, keep that in mind, really. If that's something that you don't think would help you, or do that earlier in the night to try to wind down. But just that's an example that what might work for some person really may not work for everybody. Some nights you might find that it's easier to wind down and turn off your brain than others. I think a lot of times, if it's a long, stressful day, I find going home, I'm more tired. Mentally, physically, I'm ready for bed. But if it's a day where maybe you had a little bit lighter of a workload and it was a pretty chill day, sometimes it's harder. Sometimes those days are actually harder for yourself to wind down and really get ready for bed. So eventually your body will adjust. They will adjust to the routine, and you'll actually start to crave the routine that you have created. So it will improve both the quantity and the quality of your sleep. So keep that in mind. We're not out here, I'm not saying that right away you're going to be able to get that 8 to 10 hours. You may start off, if you're a 5 hours per night person, you may be able to get to 6, but those 6 hours are better quality than those 5 hours. And I really think everyone, again, like I've said multiple times, everybody is different. So try to find what works for you and really build off that. A pro tip though, keep consistent in your wake time. So if you're somebody who, say you wake up at a certain time based on when your day is going to start. So say you have an 8 a.m. meeting someday, and because of that, with your commute, you may have to wake up at 5:30 or 6. Um, Try to find whatever time you can wake up every single day. So if maybe you're typically a 9 o'clock start, maybe still wake up at that 5:30 or 6. Just give yourself time in the morning to kind of slowly wake up. Again, in the morning, I think it's super important to keep in mind some of the same things that you do when you're winding down. So trying to stay off your phone, really trying to keep low lights if you can, to just kind of let your body wake up. With that, there are certain alarm clocks too that I have found that are really nice. So some alarm clocks now, they make some that actually will wake you up with light and sound, very gentle noises and sounds, rather than that alarm that's blaring in your ear. Um, so keep in mind, if that's something that you find you kind of like when you're winding down and getting up, is that low light, low sounds, maybe some type of alarm clock like that would be helpful for you. So just keep that in mind. You really will notice a difference in your sleep and restfulness when you don't do it. So, like I said earlier, I'm somebody who has a lot of plans on the weekends. I like to fill my cup with seeing my people and all of that good stuff. But unfortunately, usually I'm not getting the same sleep that I would on the Monday through Friday, and when I'm at home. So same thing. Try to set that routine when you're traveling, weddings, vacations, all that kind of stuff. Try to keep to your routine as much as possible. Eventually, it will go from a routine to a habit, and you really won't even realize that you're doing it anymore. Um, it, Try it for 21 days. I always say habit, try it for 21 days, and if you're still like, this is not for me, make some changes, tweak it a little bit. Do whatever you feel fit to make it work with you. And again, like I've said multiple times, everybody is different. And what works for somebody you work with may not work for you. What works for your best friend may not work for you. So just give it a go and see what works best for you. So, some tips to building the perfect bedtime routine. Establish how much sleep you want to get each night. So, again, different for everybody, but if you're somebody who's like, I think I need about 8 hours. Personally, that's me, 8 to 9. I've established how much sleep I need and I build my day around it. I try to get errands, chores, that kind of stuff done in an appropriate amount of time to be able to get dinner started and then clean up dinner and kind of tidy up my space to get ready for bed. After dinner is over, begin winding down. So I think cleaning up, like I said earlier, a clean space is really a clean and clear mind, and it really helps us to be able to, okay, the house is put to bed, I can put myself to bed. So cleaning up, taking a hot shower or a hot bath, even trying oils or types of things in your bath to kind of create that calming scent, lavender, stuff like that. Resetting your living room for the next day. Really, whatever you need to feel ready to start winding down. So I know a lot of people like to do a 10-minute tidy, they'll call it, before bed. So just cleaning up your living room, your kitchen, being able to wake up the next day really ready to go is super important and might help. Keeping the lighting in your bedroom and the rest of the house low. I know I've mentioned that multiple times, but I really do think it's something that helps us. Like I mentioned earlier, when we're seeing bright lights, it really is like, okay, it's daytime. My brain's not ready to wind down yet, but we need to kind of reel it back at night. So I would say, and this time of year, it's not difficult because it's getting dark at like 6:30. So turning on those lamps and avoiding bright overhead lights is something that really helps. It cues our body and it's time to slow down. It's time to start winding down. So try that, give it a go. I also mentioned this earlier, try reading or journaling. Anything to avoid screen time before bed. If you think about your day from the hours of 8 to 4, 9 to 5, whatever you may work, we are looking at screens all day long. All day long, unfortunately, right? So, really trying to set time for yourself to not be looking at a screen, I really think is beneficial, especially when winding down and, kind of tricking our brain, like we said, oh, okay, it's getting darker. I don't need to be doing this anymore. And again, it will become a habit and a routine once you start doing it. Looking for things that you can do like reading, journaling. I know we mentioned that earlier, but if you're somebody who needs to do a little more than that, try drawing. Needle pointing is a big thing right now in the media. Anything really to avoid a screen, I think, is beneficial. And last but not least, I think setting a timer. Set a timer. So you could set a timer, like I said, a 10-minute tidy, and then maybe you're setting 30 minutes of screen time, scrolling, posting, doing whatever you like to do, watching your favorite show. 30 to 45 minutes, I would say. Once that timer goes off, the screen is done. Pull out your Kindle, pull out your book, do your journaling. Really set a timer. Try to not be a before bed TV watcher. You might not even make it to your timer. You might find that you're getting tired and you're like, all right, I'm ready to start the second part of my routine. I think this is one of the most important parts to getting good sleep is, like we mentioned, increasing the comfortability of our bedroom. Invest in a comfortable mattress, pillows, and bedding. I always use this saying, buy once, cry once. So you spend 8 hours a day, maybe some people less, maybe some people more. But you spend a lot of time in your bed. It may as well be uncomfortable bedding and a mattress. So really invest in that stuff. Like I said, it's something that you can do one time and then you won't have to do it again. So buy once, cry once, invest in comfortable mattress, pillow, bedding. Number 2, keep your sleeping space clear of clutter. We talked about this before too. I know everybody has that one catch-all space. I know for me personally, there's a chair and it's just that's where the clean laundry goes, and I'll get to it when I get to it. Well, not letting it pile up, it distracts, the pile will distract from a clean resting space. So keeping it nice and clean, clear of clutter, maybe even doing a deep clean once a week to keep that bedroom really nice and clean for yourself. We already talked about this one quite a bit, but avoiding excessive lights, keeping those lights low. Try even a red light for somebody who, okay, yeah, the lamp's not really doing it for me. I need something a little bit dimmer, but I still need to be able to see, right, when we're getting ready for bed. So trying a red light, that might be helpful. They actually make lights now where you can put the bulb in and you can control it via apps. You don't have to get an actual red bulb. You can change the color throughout the night, that kind of stuff. So if that's something you feel you would benefit from, again, invest in your space. So give it a go. It's something that might be very helpful. And kind of going off that, if you're somebody who likes to fall asleep with a little bit of light and be able to see a little bit of light in your space, I know some people really don't like the full dark. Try a weighted sleep mask. That's something that you can put on your face, lay back, kind of take some deep breaths, and start to unwind for the night. So that could be something that benefits you as well. Number 4, minimize the noise levels in your bedroom. If you are somebody who likes to fall asleep with the TV on, that's fine. They're out there. It might be me. I'd sometimes do like the TV on in the background, but keep that volume and noise level really nice and low. Try to avoid, like we said earlier, things that can get your heart rate up. So when I think of that, I think the news. Work with somebody who needs 5 hours. Off of that, if you are somebody who does like sound, a sound machine. Again, they make a lot of those. They're on Amazon, they're really everywhere, but investing in a good sound machine might be something that helps too. If you're somebody who likes sound but maybe is trying to get out of that bad habit of falling asleep with the TV on, give it a go. It might be something that you like. All that to say is we really do need sleep. It's super important. It plays a huge role in how we attack the next day. And I think it's also important to keep in mind, and I know I said this multiple times, but truly every single person is different. So you may work with somebody who needs 5 hours sleep and they are an energizer bunny and they are fine. They are rocking, they are rolling. Where you are somebody who is like, if I'm getting 5 hours of sleep, I can't function the next day. So really, everybody is different. Find that sweet spot and give it a go. Give it a try. Give yourself 21 days. We do so much in our lives for other people. Try doing something for yourself. Give yourself 21 days of trying a couple of new things, limiting your screen time, maybe picking up that book that's been at your bedside table for a while that you're wanting to start but just can't seem to kind of break that bad habit. Give it a go, and you really, really might benefit from that new routine and get some better quality and quantity sleep. Again, like always, you feel free to connect with us. My email is agriffin@Kinetiq Health. And just to keep in mind, there will be no presentation in December. So we will catch you all in the new year. Thank you so much.